I'm going to take some time to ask a few questions. And I'd like to start with Jasmine and Erica. When you think about what you would like to see as the future Grand Rapids, because you two sit here and if everything works out as it should, you two will outlive us, right? There's a chance that the mayor and Doug and myself will live to the years of Methuselah, but I doubt it. So we want to ask each of you, what do you want Grand Rapids to look like in the next 25 years?
I would say us coming together as a community more, get the youth involved, like me and my colleague Jasmine. That's what I would want.
Okay, great. Jasmine, what do you think?
Well, growing up my entire life in Grand Rapids, I've always valued the importance of community and importance of just coming together as one. And I think Grand Rapids does a great job with that. Going to Kentwood Public Schools for my 12 years of schooling has really brought out that community and that importance of home and censorship. So I think developing that more, and like Erica said, with our youth is going to be where it really takes us next.
Thank you, ladies. Appreciate that. There's this opportunity to pursue, to go after happiness. And this is an individual freedom. Doug, how do we pursue happiness individually and as a community?
Yeah, the phrase pursuit of happiness has a lot of history to it. And those of you that may have been at the Economic Club lunch a while ago with Jeff Rosen from the National Constitution Center talk about the whole idea was not to feel good, it was to be good. And there were virtues that cause us to be happy, but they come from the inside out. It's not that just all the stuff around us is great, it's that we live a good life and that you contribute to others. So I think what happens for us if we think about the pursuit of happiness is to say, how do I add more value to my community? How can I be a better person? How can I be a better, in my case, how can I be a better husband? How can I be a better father? How can I be a better sibling? How can I be a better person in my neighborhood, my community, and what are the things that are going to be important about that? And so you talk about some of those sorts of things when you pursue progress, when we want to get better, when we're going to be loyal, when we're going to be thinking about things in a different context, that we stick with it, we just keep working at it, and we figure out how to disagree without being disagreeable and find solutions. And so those are the things that I think if we all pursue that, then it kind of happens in the city, because it becomes the culture that we create when we decide that we're going to figure out what are those virtues, what are those timeless principles that our country was founded on, that we've duplicated in our city, and that we can develop in our lives. Well, and when we do that, we can take it forward from there.
Amen. And it's interesting. There's science around this. There are lots of studies that show that people who do sacrificial work for others are happier. Yeah. That people who are outwardly focused and not inwardly focused wind up happier. Yeah. And since I'm a politician, I'm constantly asking people to do things for a living. Yeah. I'm saying, come, I'll help with this, help with this, help with this. And I always have to remind myself, I'm actually giving people a chance to have better lives. Because if they do volunteer or do that sacrificial thing, it'll come back to them as good for them too. Yeah. And it's paradoxical. But as a matter of fact, selfishness doesn't turn out to make you a good person or a happy person. Helping others does.
Yeah, there you go.
Mayor, for probably the last 15 years, I've stated publicly that I believe that Grand Rapids has the potential to be the model medium-sized city in America. And I believe that to my core.
I think you're shooting too low.
What's that?
Why a model medium-sized city? Why can't we just be the best city?
The model city, but in terms of size, think about Chicago or LA or Detroit. There's Grand Rapids, and so I have the question, what would you say there's to look forward to in Grand Rapids? Why is Grand Rapids one of the best places to be, to raise a family, to have a career, to to just be? Why Grand Rapids?
Well, let me take a little bit of a sidetrack. I think one of the things that's happened in America over the years is our political language has kind of gotten impoverished in the sense that almost all the time when you hear politicians talk, they talk about money. They talk about, well, we need more jobs, we need a higher economy, we need more GDP. And politics isn't about money, it's about human flourishing. And the real test for us in Grand Rapids is, are people flourishing in our community in a way that other people see and want to emulate? And so anything that can bring us to that, and again, you can think of that as selfish, or you can think that if we do a great job of building a community where we lift each other up, where we really, really believe in the people around us, we can be a model and that can spread, right? Like good examples get followed. And so, I mean, the old, and it was an early American thinker who analogized America to a city on a hill, to a lamp that was shining light out to the rest of the world. And I think the American dream at its best is we want the rest of the world to have democracy too. Yeah. We want the rest of the world to have all of this amazing stuff that we have instantiated. And that gives us a moral authority. And frankly, when we pull back from that, it's sort of tragic. When we pull back from thinking the only reason why we want to be great is so that we can help other people share in it, like around the entire globe. Historically, that's been the American dream. And so my dream for Grand Rapids is actually not a selfish dream for Grand Rapids at all. It's how can we, like, I don't want us to be the best city in America per se. I want us to be better than we were yesterday, and I want everyone else to come along at the same time. I don't need to be better than Chicago. I want both of us to be better than we were today.
Yeah, good, very good, thank you. Erica and Jasmine, you know, it says a lot that you're here. It says a lot that you've stepped out and have made yourself available. You know, you were asked to participate, and you could have said no. You could have told the superintendent of Kentwood Public Schools, you know what, sir? No, but you didn't. You said yes, and for that we are grateful. And it really speaks to, obviously, your desire to want to talk about, obviously, your generation and what you believe in. But I want to ask you about what you see as why is it important to serve, right? I mean, this idea of giving of yourself, your time, your talent, your treasure. Why does Erica want to serve?
I had to think about that. Well, I think it's important to serve, people. I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but I am kind of a people pleaser. I kind of struggle with that, but like I just want people to be proud of me, proud of what they see, proud of what I have accomplished. So that's why I would say I serve in a way, but also I want to be proud of my own self.
Good.
So that's why I serve myself, I serve others.
Okay, very good, thank you. Thank you, Erica, that's great. Jasmine?
Well, taking what Mr. Mayor said about how people follow good people and they do their things, I think that's one of the main reasons why I serve in my community and in other aspects of my life. I want people to look at me as someone that they not want to be or whatever, but someone who they can aspire to say, hey, I like what she did there, and I want to add to that, and I want to be a part of that. And I surround myself with a lot of good things, and I want people to be a part of that, like I said. And when more people come to good things, I think less people shift to the bad. So when I think of shifting of our community and our youth, I think the more we get into positive impact and positive growth and positive serving, the less we'll feed into the negative.
Very well said, both of you. Thank you. I want to, before we turn to the audience, Doug, how can we continue, not start, but continue to build on the things that make our community unique, like the people and the partnerships, and in an effort to create a sense of purpose and to realize progress as well?
I think I like what everybody's been saying up here, but it starts with having a dream, a bigger goal, and to say we can be better than we are today, and we can find out, we can put specifics to how we can be better, what we can do differently, and we can start to put time, talent, and treasure towards plans to do just that, and we can do that. And as you were saying, you're talking about being an example, because we talk a lot about service, we talk a lot about community, but someone's got to step up. An individual has to take action. You've got to do something about it. And so there's this wonderful balance of individuals who step up and take action and make a difference. And that example then, once they do that, they just don't do it for themselves. They do it and they say, hey, why don't you come with me? Why don't you do this together? And so I think we have to do it, though, in the context of dreaming big. This is a goal. This is what we're going after. And in the context of knowing the foundational principles that we're using. We're not grasping for straws here. We're not looking all over the place to say, well, gee, how are we going to do that? We have a lot of the foundations or the fundamental pieces in place, but we have to put them together differently. It doesn't mean that we just do it the way we did it in Grand Rapids 30 years ago or 20 years ago or 10 years ago. What are we going to do today differently? So we got to bring the innovation, we got to bring the creativity, we got to bring the voices of the new generation, and then we got to be able to all be part of that, taking it forward. So that's the thing that comes to mind. But we got to keep dreaming big. And I love exactly what you said. We want to dream big. We don't want to just beat everybody. We want to be better than everybody, but they're happy to follow us and come along, right?
Yeah, although, even in founding documents, there's that phrase, malice towards none.
Yeah.
It's so, that's something the founders were worried about too. it's human nature to think, if I push you down, that makes me taller.
Exactly.
And it's not true.
Get beyond, leaders get beyond
right.
that.
We really have to just keep coming back to the well of other service, I think. We really just have to.
Mr. Mayor, how can we, again, continue to build on those things? That, again, our community, some would say that Grand Rapids is just like every other city in the country. I would disagree. I think that we have some attributes that make us very, very unique, and we have challenges like every other city. But how can we build on the things that make our community unique?
Well, I know as mayor I'm supposed to say, we're so unique, we're so wonderful. I'm going to deflect that a little bit. I think we have talent, we have resources here, we have energy, we have amazing people many people who I think are saints. A day doesn't go by when I don't meet someone and think, wow, I want to be that person when I grow up. There are so many amazing people in our community. Now, why it's useful to say, well, we have this and Chicago doesn't, or Akron doesn't. I don't find that a very useful way to think about it. I think, again, comparing, it's a little bit like I say, when you work out, you're not working out to go to the Olympics. You're working out to become a better version of yourself than the version that didn't work out. So when I think about Grand Rapids and our opportunity for greatness, I don't think of it as a relative thing. I think of it as sort of like working out. If I can get stronger and faster on my bike, I want to do that. Yeah. I don't need to beat Lance Armstrong. I need to get I need myself to get better. And if Lance Armstrong gets better, that's on him. But I resist the comparative stuff, because so often in politics I hear people say, oh, if we don't get this, Indiana will get it. And I think, I'm not at war with Indiana. I don't wish ill to the people in Indiana. I don't wish ill to people in Mexico or China. I want us to thrive and prosper. Mm-hmm. But it's that mindset of scarcity or comparison that I want to resist, because I want a rising tide lifts all boats. And what's good for Doug will often be good for me and good for you. And now the test is, we got to make sure that we're not missing anybody. We're not leaving anybody out. We're not cheating on the math so that, actually Doug and I are doing better because you're doing worse. And that's what a commitment to real democracy means. It means checking your math, being honest, making sure that if you are being disadvantaged because of something Doug and I got, you can say so when you get heard. Because in a democracy, you should get heard. If you're not getting heard, we're betraying democracy. And so make those synergistic, the sum is greater than the parts, win-win opportunities. I see them every day. I see all kinds of, every day I see an opportunity where I think, there's no downside to this. This is something that's just going to be better for all of the factors involved. So I just see so many opportunities for additive and synergistic. Now, to partially answer the question you asked the way you asked it, one of the things I often say about Grand Rapids that I love and I'm proud of is it is filled with people who just do good things and don't want to get credit for it. And that makes me, I'm so proud of people who just do hard, sacrificial work and don't make a big deal out of it, and actually deflect credit, and actually deflect, I mean, look, I'm a politician. Politicians take credit for the sun rising. It's an endemic problem in politics that if anything good happens, like the medical mile, I did that because I was on city commission with them. I didn't do that. I don't get credit for the medical mile, right? I don't get credit for the sun rising. So I think that what I'm proud of in Grand Rapids is people who do amazing things, and if you weren't in the room, you don't know what they did. And if you know, you can follow the breadcrumbs sometimes. If those are the saints and those are my heroes, the people who don't look for credit and don't have their ego involved. And I think getting your ego out of the way is so important if we're going to do work for the common good, because ego is individual and the common good is the common good. But I think Grand Rapids has really got that. There are so often I see people who like to think, you did not do that for yourself. That was not in your self-interest, and you don't want to draw attention to it. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to open things up now for the audience. There should be those walking around with some microphones to hand to you if you have a question.
Hi, how are we going to balance honoring the past while also being honest about where we fall short?
How do we honor the past while being honest of falling short?
How do we honor the past with also being honest where we fall short?
Yeah.
That's good.
I'll take a shot at that, if that's all right. I think, to me, I think everything about the past is what you learn. And you learn and you look back and you figure out how to improve. So you're always doing the analysis, you're always doing the evaluation and say, wow, these were great principles and here's what happened, but okay, we missed the mark on this. And what are we going to do next time? It's like a sports team looking at game film. What did I do this game that didn't work, right? So you're a volleyball player, right? You're always looking every game. What did we do last time? What did we do well till we can do it better next time? Or what did we miss if we lost that we have to improve on? And the other element is to be innovative enough and creative enough to not get stuck in the past or feel like you have to defend the past and to say it was all good. To say, wow, it was a lot good, or this was good, or that was good, but we can be better. And I think if we have that open mind and we stay curious about what we could do together, that's how you can build on the past without trying to throw it out, because it's brought us to where we are. It's given us this opportunity to go forward.
I'm going to maybe put on my preacher hat here a little bit, because this is something I think about a lot. I don't think we as a society do very good at forgiving. And I think part of the reason is because we're constantly trying to act as though we're all perfect. And I think that admitting that we're flawed and admitting that we make mistakes, I make mistakes all the time. Last time I said that, one of my handlers said, you should never say out loud that you make mistakes. But I make mistakes all the time because I'm a human being. And acknowledging our flaws is hard if you don't think you're going to get forgiven. So I think that leaders have to acknowledge their flaws to set an example, because if we can all admit that we're all fragile, fallible people and we mess up all the time, then we can have a space to admit, like, there are really bad things in the US history, right? Like slavery, like our treatment of Native Americans, like the fact that, women didn't get to vote until about 100 years ago, right? Like all of that stuff in retrospect looks appalling. Well, how do we have the space to admit it? Well, it's hard to have space to admit things if you don't think you're going to get forgiven. So I think as a country, that dynamic is something we have to talk about, because there are a lot of deep flaws in our history, which lead right into deep flaws in our present. But we can only admit those and we got to get better at admitting those. I think we get better at practicing grace, which means admitting our own flaws, but also practicing forgiveness. We're so, I mean, many people in this country say that they're Christian, and I think if you're not willing to forgive people, you got to go get another religion. I think that forgiveness is such a foundational element of being a good moral agent, and I think that relates to our history. Like, how do we forgive ourselves for slavery? I mean, wow. That's a heavy topic, right? And it sort of sent chills down my spine to even say it, right? Like, how does that work out? Like, that's something we're still struggling with as a country. Like, the legacy of all of the racism that's happened in America since our inception, and that's still real and present today, and we still wrestle with. How do we deal with real economic disparity and real lack of opportunity? And we want to be a country where everyone has equal opportunity, and we're still missing the mark. And our missing the mark now is based on a whole pile of missing the mark yesterday and the day before and all the way back 250 years and all the way back hundreds of years before that. So I think that acknowledging our own flaws is where you got to start. So I make mistakes.
Did you have anything or no? Other questions?
Hi there. I've been in this town for close to 30 years now, so this is my town. This is this is it for me, right? But last week, somebody just arrived here. And next week, somebody will arrive. Tomorrow will arrive, right? And they might feel like they come here and we are celebrating 175 years, or somebody came late to the party. So, but and also those who next week might be already thinking, that's it, I'm done because I couldn't make it here in this town. How do we bring them into the party? How do we make them part of this, not just celebration, but the honor of being a Grand Rapidian, the celebration of not just the party, but the whole spirit of being here, living here, making it here?
So can I take a crack at that? One of the things I love about America is a country that's based around an idea. That's why we're here. So we're not here because we're all Germans or we're all Italians or we're all Catholics or we're all Buddhists. We all sort of in America believe in the American dream, which is democracy, and we want to invite everybody to the party. I mean, properly functioning democracy means everyone gets invited to the party. Everyone who shows up at the party has just as much right to be in the family as anybody. We don't have a time limit on this. And there are places in America where that doesn't get lived out very well, right? I mean, here that in Maine, if you haven't been there for 40 years, you're not from Maine. And I think that sometimes in Grand Rapids, there can be a cliquishness and a tribalism that we've got to fight. Like, I mean, Doug and I are both Dutch, and there's a phrase Dutch bingo. And Dutch bingo is where you say, oh, are you related to Tim DeVos? And oh, right, his brother went to high school with, right? So that's very cliquish, and it can be fun for Dutch folks to do that, but that kind of leaves Joe out because Joe probably isn't a DeVos, and he probably doesn't, have...
You are correct.
Yeah. Community's kind of tricky because it relies on loyalty and time together and building community, but at the same time, it's got to be open, it's got to be porous. And so I think there's a tension there that we've always, just like I think we got to recommit to real egalitarianism. I think we got to recommit to being an open community, and we got to do it every day.
Ladies, I'm wondering, can you speak to, for your peers, how do you get your peers to be more excited about or really take pride in being from Grand Rapids or being a part of Grand Rapids?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. So me and Jasmine, we go to the #1 diverse school in the state. Mm-hmm. So
that's East Kentwood High School.
Yeah, East Kentwood High School.
The district itself is, yes it is.
So we have a lot of foreign exchange students coming to our schools. So it's just introducing them to Grand Rapids, introducing them to Michigan, because some of them are from where? Like,
all
over.
You name a place.
all over.
We got it at
yeah.
UK.
So like just like introducing them different foods, different languages, different cultures. Yeah, just introducing them to Grand Rapids.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So add on to Erica, and to kind of answer your question, I think Grand Rapids has a little bit of everything. And I think when you come here, it's like, whoa, it's like, oh my gosh. So you can dip your hands in so many things. And I think when you dip into something and you see if you like it or not, okay, if you don't like it, you go find something else. And I think that's really cool about Grand Rapids. There's so many things to do here. You can involve yourself in so much. And like Erica said, East Kentwood has a really big part in that. And we are very fortunate to have different opportunities like that and to be the #1 diverse school in Michigan, because you get to see those different walks of life and you get to see how you can connect to someone who you may not even know anything about them. They might come from a whole different side of the country, but the main point is that we're here now and we're together, and I think that's what we can stand on.
That's good.
Hey, can I make one
Please.
observation?
Yep.
My guess is that you two go out of your way and you take the initiative to meet somebody.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You go out, you
Yeah.
introduce yourself.
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
that's the thing. If you see somebody who looks like they're wandering around or they look like they're new to the community, go say something, make a friend. It's just the initiative that you take that I think is a big piece of it too. We all have to do that. We all have to take on that responsibility.
I think Doug introduced himself to everybody here before the event, so he's living it.
Hey everybody, my name is Robert Duran Brockway. I'm the statewide project director for America 250 MI out of Lansing. And I just want to say that this is pretty amazing. I'm totally blown away by this. And what I'm really blown away by is by you guys sitting at that table and having an open, honest conversation about democracy. And I think that's what we've really lost in our country right now. People being able to sit around a table, the dinner table, the breakfast table, the coffee shop, the donut shop, and talk about democracy in a respectful, kind manner. Yeah, and that's what we've really lost. And I think that we really need to get back to that. And what we're doing on the state level is that we're doing exactly this. We are fostering people to sit around tables like this and talk about democracy and talk about what it means to be an American. We're really, as our foundation, we're using the 5 guiding themes, right? Unfinished revolutions, we the people, doing history. These are important topics that we need to talk about, and we've really lost that sense of being able to talk to each other. And so if I can do one thing in this job, it is to uncover unheard voices and to have people sit at the table. You talked about slavery, right? Wouldn't it be nice if, I'm gonna say the president, right, stood up and said, "I'm sorry for slavery. We apologize." Sometimes that's all it takes. I'm sorry, And so we really need to find that place again. We need to find that spot where we can talk. And maybe we never even had that spot, right? Maybe it didn't exist, but it's bubbling up now, right? And maybe everything that's happening around us is because it is bubbling up and we really don't know how to face it. And so I'm so proud of you all here tonight. I'm so proud of you guys that you're sitting at that table and you're showing people what it's like, what democracy is really like. And so thank you very much for that.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we've all been to anniversaries that are a great big huge party, and we started a great party here. What difference is it going to make? Like, are there elements, aggregate elements around the community that are really going to invite everybody in, and what are the plans for that?
Well, Can I jump on that one? That's up for you to answer. You know, that's why we're here, is, you know, we want to create this environment where we talk about it, where we raise it, where we get together, where we try to demonstrate some of these things. But really, the encouragement is that we kind of create some materials as well. We've had people here all day. We've been, you know, shooting, creating content that we can put out, that you can share, that will encourage other people, that will, you know, that will help you maybe share an idea with somebody else, or think of an interesting idea on yourself by yourself. So I think the whole point is that's what we want to start going. So don't look to us. You know, it's like you know, it's like at church. Don't look to the pastor to say, well, you know, I'm just going to follow there. You have your own relationship. You have your own life to live. You have your own thing to do. So the whole point of America is that people from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds, have said, I'm going to do this or this or this or this in your own unique way, and have an impact. And so that's the hope that we take away.
Mm-hmm. This is a really good question because it also, as Doug has stated, each of us sitting here has a network. Yeah. Everyone here has you know, folks within your network who are good at something. They have a desire to want to serve. If you ask them to come alongside, they will. This is an opportunity throughout the course of this next year to find ways in which we can not just commemorate and celebrate, but again, how can we live out what was written, right? There's a whole lot to be said about looking at and reading through the Declaration of Independence. So looking at the Constitution that comes by way of the city of Grand Rapids, and saying, okay, you know, here we are 175 years later, 250 years later, how can we live out that thing that was written? And as I stated earlier, I'm a student of history. I believe if you made a promise, I need you to keep that promise.
Stick to it.
And so how can we be a part of fulfilling that? And I think a big part of it is, especially if you're in the education space, is bringing young folks along around civic engagement, helping to understand who we are, where we come from, right? That will help to define and help to give us a better idea of what we can be. But I find it more and more difficult. It's really, really hard to get a sense of what we can be if we don't know, or if we're not able to see what we can be. And so I think that for everyone who is here, the opportunity is present, whether it's engaging more in volunteer efforts, whether it's spending more time at the Grand Rapids City Museum, at the museum, Grand Rapids Museum. There's so much that we can do individually, but more importantly, collectively, as a community.
Well, and if I can riff off of what Doug and Joe both said, I say all the time that I'm an intellectual magpie. I've only got one brain. I know there are more ideas in the community than I'm ever going to have. And so if anyone here or in your network has ideas, I think the central question that interests me is, how can we do democracy better in Grand Rapids, in this place at this time? And if you have ideas on how we can do democracy better, please come share them with me. Because, you know, I'm the mayor of Grand Rapids, and I want to do democracy better in Grand Rapids. I have some ideas, and I'm working on some things, and I don't want to talk about them now. But if you have ideas on how we can actually instantiate making every voice heard better, let me know, please. Help me think about that.
And even in this effort, there's a lot of subcommittee members who are here. You're empowered to take action, to do things, to go forward and to make it happen. And so that's the whole point of that, hey, we're trying to build this movement, this momentum.
Thank you. My name is Tanisa Fry, and I lead an organization called Family Promise of West Michigan. And one thing that I always say is that we do great work, but we do our best work as a community. So in the spirit of community, this is a question for Erica and Jasmine. You have a room full of resources here. What is it that we can do as your community to help you elevate into your journey from high school to college or whatever that job is? Maybe it is you want to improve your networking skills. Maybe you want to shadow a lawyer for a day or shadow a nonprofit leader like me. But what do you need in your space as seniors in high school to bridge, start to to build that bridge of resources for you?
Yeah, thank you. I would say, obviously help us through it, but let us lead a little bit and take initiative to whatever we want to do. Like, we want to be journalists. So shadow a couple journalists here and there, and let us help them in like a sense too. Yeah, Jazz.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think one thing that I've taken full advantage of is my resources at my high school, and I think knowing them and knowing that they're available and are always available, I still contact teachers from years ago, and they still help me today with multiple things. And yeah, I just think really pushing people to their best potential. I think many people in my life have gotten me to this point, of course, not just family, but my peers and the people who have helped me in my education walk. And to this point now, I'm sitting at this amazing table, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without the people who have pushed me to this point. So I think students really need to know that they are able to be something. I think there's so much going on right now. People get lost in who they can be, and I think when you have that one guide and that one light who is like, hey, you can be this person, you can be anything. This is what makes America so great, is you can be anything, and you can do anything you want. You can create your own person. So I think really having that person to push you there is what makes it great.
I want to add on. Sorry, y'all, sorry. Yeah, especially like coming from high school, there's a lot of peer pressure, a lot of peer pressure that steers them down their path in life. So yeah, I would say like have a mentor, because I have a mentor, a journalism mentor. She lives in Ohio now, but yeah. So sidetracked, sorry. So just having that mentor help, networking. Like I know like our journalist teacher, Mr. Donikowski, he helps us a lot. Our principals, administrators, superintendent, just like have that space, have that person or people to guide you through it.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Well said.
I want to thank my colleagues who are sitting here, and once again, thank you for being here on this afternoon. If you could lock into your mind, but more importantly into your phone, GRA250.com. That is the website for this movement. You will find on that website events, you'll find updates, you'll find more information, you'll be reminded of the challenge that's before you. Again, you have this coin, right? You have something of great value. Use this coin as a means of not just challenging yourself, but challenging others to come alongside to help in creating a more prosperous, a more robust community in which more people, again, can flourish. I also want to remind you that on June 7th, if I'm correct, Mr. Mayor, Rosa Parks Circle, there will be a GR175 event, June 7, Rosa Parks Circle. Again, you can find more information on the website. We're excited, and we're excited because of this opportunity, but we're even more excited because you are here and you have a desire to do this with us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to get together back over on my right here for some more fellowship. Thanks much.